So I think most of you should understand that about 80% of the income should be coming from the messages from your OnlyFans earnings. Now, there's no right or wrong. I've had some creators that I've managed where it's nearly a 50-50 split from subscriptions and messages and other things, but majority of the accounts, majority of the time, the income comes in through the messages. So, well, there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so many messages that you can reply to. So a lot of the time what tends to happen is you're going to hire somebody to help you with that massive volume of messages, which are called chatters, or some people call them sexters, right? So these are going to be people who are going to be working either overseas or in the same country as you, who'll be logging in and doing the messages and doing the replies to then get to the actual real part that the fan wants. Maybe it's a custom video or a photo, and that's where you can charge and make extra money. And because you're trusting with somebody else to be bringing in potentially 80% of the income for your account, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering exactly what you need to look out for and how to avoid all the mistakes when it comes to hiring and actually using a chatter. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what you need to do, tweak or improve to boost the performance of your chatter. So the first thing is, of course, tracking, right? Because anything that you do, if you're not tracking the progress or how it's going, well, how do you know if it's going good or bad, right? The same as if you set yourself a goal. If you don't put a time frame on it, and if you don't really specifically figure out what is that goal, what's the end achievement there, well, how are you going to be able to track how close or how far away are you from that goal? So when it comes to your staff and your team, this is the same thing. You must set goals and you must be able to track how well or how bad or how poorly you're doing in terms of getting that goal. So there are tons of apps and online softwares that you can use to track the performance of your chatters, one of which are Creator Hero. So Creator Hero is an incredible tool. I'll leave the link down below for a 2-week free trial for you guys. So for an entire 14 days, you're able to try Creator Hero completely for free. Again, I'll leave that link down below. But Creator Hero is an incredible extension that you could add on top of OnlyFans, and it helps you analyze everything to much more detail. I mean, not only when are the chatters on, how many messages they're sending, even to the point where you're able to figure out how many messages are they sending before they send a pay-per-view or a photo or a video, right? So for example, you shouldn't be at a stage where, you know, every one message out of 1,000 is a custom, right? That's way too much. That means you're doing too much talking and not enough selling. But it also shouldn't be where every 5 messages you're sending out 2 customs or, you know, photos or videos. That's way too much. Now you're just being too salesy and there's no rapport building, okay? So there needs to be that fine balance, and Creator Hero lets you analyze and see exactly how and where you're going wrong with that. Next thing I wanted to mention is about shift plans, right? Because if you're hiring a bunch of chatters, well, if you just have one, then of course, great, that he or she's only able to cover X amount of time. And there's typically 2 main points every 24 hours where the account is very, very busy. It's typically either kind of late in the evening, around kind of 10 p.m. till about 3 a.m. And the second time is early morning, okay? Maybe perhaps 6 to 10 a.m. Again, it depends on per creator, but typically those are the 2 main times where most people are going to be on the OF account messaging and wanting customs. So if you just have one chatter and he or she is only able to manage just one of those shifts, well, you should think about hiring perhaps another one so you're able to cover more of the time when it's really lucrative to essentially reply back and forth to the fans and make extra cash. And if you are going to do that, you need to make sure that there are set patterns where one logs in, once they log out, they relay all the notes to the next chatter, and so on and so on. Now, in an ideal world, depending on the size of your account and how many messages and how many fans you are getting, at a certain point, you should be at a stage where you should be able to hire 3 chatters and they all do 8-hour shifts. Now, if that's the case, you need to make sure that they definitely relay the information over to the next chatter, and so on and so on. Because what you don't want to happen is one chatter finishes the shift, the next one logs in, and then from there on, he or she has no idea what the previous person spoke about or to who should they follow up with, etc. So you want to make sure you have a right pattern in place where one logs out, the next one logs in, and vice versa. And this is how you achieve a 24-hour coverage on the account. And not only that, of course, it also reduces the chatter's fatigue, right? We're all human at the end of the day. There are only so many hours in a day that you can sit there sending messages. You know, at first, you're going to be very sharp on it. You're going to reply to all messages and be really enthusiastic and full of energy. And, you know, if somebody's doing it for 12 hours, by the 10th hour, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be as energetic and enthusiastic as when they were first starting out. So then therefore, if you have 3 chatters doing 8-hour shifts and you rotate it around, you know, they've had enough time throughout the day to relax, do whatever they want to do, and then start work. So that's also very, very important. The next point, and this is actually something that you should do right at the beginning before you even go ahead and let these chatters onto these accounts, is the training, right? I think a lot of people, they want to get started, they want to outsource it because they don't want to do it themselves, and they'll just hire anybody, just basically give them the basics. Oh, just reply here, send this, boom, boom, boom. Hopefully they figure it out. And that's the wrong way to do it. I mean, again, of course, no matter what business you're going to be doing, whenever you hire people, you need to make sure you create what's called an SOP, like a standard operating procedure. But you don't have to go kind of all this techie and nerdy. You can literally just give them a very, very concise, in-depth training on exactly how the conversation flow should work and what is the end goal and how to achieve it, right? So for us, we teach them quite a lot. There's quite a lot of extensive training that we provide for our chatters. If you're interested in me making a video about what we do and how we train our chatters, leave a like on this video. If this video gets 700 likes, I'll go ahead and create a specific video on exactly how we train our chatters, where do we find them from, how do we hire them, and how do we manage them. But the training is super, super important. I'll give you one thing in this short little video on kind of one thing that we do mainly focus on when it comes to the training, which is the psychology, right? So at the end of the day, everybody has, well, most people have a thumb, so they're able to type, so that's not rocket science, right? If they have a good level of English, their grammar is great, and their spelling is perfect, then that's fine. You should look at these things before you even hire somebody. But if those are a tick, which should be by this point, and you've hired them, well, the next thing that you really need to make sure you train them on is the psychology behind somebody who goes on OF and ends up spending money. What is the kind of route? What happens between that time period of somebody jumping onto OF as a fan and then ending up paying? Like, why do they pay? What makes them come back as well, right? All of these things you need to really, really understand from a psychological point of view, and you need to teach your chatters on exactly how and why these things work. Now, one thing that we cover in the training as well, and this will definitely help your chatters to understand exactly what to do and how to do it, is just give them a base script template, right? So most of the conversations, they end up pretty much the same, as you can imagine. They start here, they end up here, and they're paid a lot, right? The idea of it is pretty much the same, but there are different scripts that you can use and different templates that you can use where you can guide kind of the conversation in the way that you want it to, right? So making sure that you guys have pre-written scripts and templates, and you make sure you record a video or you jump on a Zoom call with the chatter and you go through exactly, hey, say this because of that. And once they reply to this, you could probably say something along these lines, and so on and so on. It's so important. The same as if you are watching and if you have ever had a sales job, or if you know of somebody who's ever had a sales job, most likely there is a script or at least a template that they've followed, and they've been taught exactly how and why they need to say certain things, and once a reply comes back or an objection, whatever, how to handle these certain things. Not only scripts, but then also the pricing tiers, right? Because if you bring on a chatter and previous to this chatter you were selling content for X amount, but now the chatter comes on board and is selling it at like less than 50% of it, there's no point, right? So there needs to be a set guide to exactly how to price certain things, and so on and so on. So that will really, really help you guys. The next one is chatting reviews. I think a lot of you guys will hire somebody and then just kind of let them do their thing. And I mean, you personally, just think in your head right now, when was the last time you actually sat down on a Zoom call with one of the chatters and you reviewed a couple of the messages and you just made sure that they're doing the right thing and correcting any mistakes that they might be doing? Honestly, like, when was the last time you've done that? Maybe you even haven't once, right? So it seems like common sense, but before somebody says something like this, you might not even think of doing that. And that's something that we and our team do consistently. Even if it's going really, really well and we're getting record month after record month, we still, every single week, we jump on board with all of our chatters. We have staff members that do this, essentially chatter managers, right? And they will go on a Zoom call with the chatter, go into the account and just review the messages and making sure that all of the messages and all the conversations that they're having are by how we have taught them originally from day one, right? Also, this ties back into one of the first steps, which is like softwares that are able to track how many messages are being sent compared to how many pay-per-views. And if the ratio is off, well, then you can bring this up to the chatter and quickly resolve that issue before it gets way, way worse. And it's the same as any other business. I mean, if you were to be running, I don't know, a car dealership, for example, and you hired on a sales rep, you wouldn't just hire them and just let them do their thing and just don't ever check in with them and just end of the month, look how much they made, and yeah, that'll be all right. You'd obviously train them first. You give them the kind of the sales training script and templates and how to handle objections and certain questions. And then once they are ready to start working and they're on the showroom, for example, doing sales, whatever, you might just be listening over, right? We might do some pitch practice, and you just want to see if they're doing it the right way or the wrong way, so you're able to help them to make more money, but then also, of course, for your business as well. Another one which is really simple to implement, you can literally start this right now today, is just implementing incentives and gifts at the end of a week or end of a month if they hit a certain target goal, right? So again, if most of your chatters are perhaps overseas, to them, maybe like $500 is a huge amount of money. Maybe a new laptop or a new phone is something that they would normally have to save up for months. But if you say, hey, look, if we hit this goal by the end of the first quarter or by the end of this month, by the end of this week, however you want to do it, I'll go ahead and get you this gift, right? I'll go ahead and buy this for you. Again, this goes back to kind of, I mentioned this earlier, before you hire somebody, you obviously want to qualify them, make sure their English is great, etc. But then also get to understand them as a person. What are their hobbies? What are they interested, etc., etc. Like, for example, one of our chatters, she loves gaming. So we literally just bought her a pair of headphones with the microphone. She was over the moon. I mean, look, it only cost us, I can't remember, it was like $70. But it was one of the best feelings for her because one, she really feels like she's a part of a team. We really care about her. And not only that, it's also very, very personalized to her. Because if we just gave her like a $70 gift card, sure, she would be very, very happy with it. But it's not the same as getting something that you actually really, really wanted and you're going to use for a long period of time. So again, you watching this, when was the last time you gave a bonus or a gift to any of your staff members? Maybe you haven't yet, right? And again, there's a previous video I made a couple of weeks ago, which was about how OF as a whole, you need to be thinking it long term. In that video, I was talking about fans specifically. So you don't want to just keep churning new fans. You want to get the fans in, but then also think about the long term and why they should keep subscribing to the account. It's the same with your staff members, right? Chatters is specifically one, but then also loads of other staff members that you're going to go ahead and hire. Even if you're watching this as an agency owner, why should your models carry on working with you? Sure, of course, you're making them a lot of money for sure, but what else is there? Like, do you guys actually have built a great rapport and you guys are great business partners? Or is it just like, she kind of replies here and there, you make a bit of money and it's that, right? So again, really thinking about long term will help you guys scale your agency a lot faster. And if you're going to take my advice for the previous point a couple of points ago when I said that you should potentially have 3 chatters, 1 account, managing 8-hour shifts and then rotating, making sure that you guys have them in a group chat and they're able to communicate with each other is huge. Not only is it to relay the notes over, but then also, look, they're doing the same thing, all of them. So they're able to actually talk within each other. If they make friends, then that's ideal. Again, that will make you guys, make them want to work with you guys a lot longer because they actually feel like they're a part of something, they have some friends, etc., etc. So making sure you create a community for all of your staff members and they really want to come back and work with you. And these are the things that will definitely help you boost your performance for your chatters. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.